so I'm making frittatas today. They are what you would call keto or ketovore. So I'll be putting in cabbage and mushroom, steak and bacon. Now I don't think I need that piece of cabbage, it will just be too much. That was called before I started to make it easier for me by a friend. Now so just start chopping in here. Now because it's a sharp knife, I just have to go really easily and not fast so that I can feel what I'm doing. Alright, and I've got to always make sure that I keep my hands out of the way. Now so, just gently. Now, so I'll start with that, just chop that up into smaller pieces, because obviously I'm not going to want to have it like that. Now, whenever a blind person chops, so that they don't get their fingers in the way, they curl their fingers slightly so that they, and you've got to make sure that the top edge of the knife is towards the hand and the blade away from the hand. Right? So if you're ever teaching a person, I'm talking to the sighted people now, if you're ever teaching a person who's totally blind, that's the way you need to do it, because it is so important that they don't get their fingers in the way, because otherwise you get too close and we don't want to lose our fingers. So much easier, I know there's a few scraps, but it's much easier to pick them up in your hands than just try and slide them off the board, because otherwise I find as a person who's totally blind, you end up with them all scattered all over the floor. So we'll do the next piece. Right. Oh, this table is so rickety. I'm using an old camp table basically, because this is a bad designed kitchen. It's a rental kitchen, so they didn't have the bench space, so we had to create it, because with the bench space that is, I honestly can't feel my way around it. It's just too cluttered. It's really important as a person either who is totally blind or visually impaired to have good light and dark perception around them if they have that, or good colours, good lighting if they can use their sight, and if they can't, they actually need a fairly decent amount of room so you can feel around your area and know what you're doing. That's just so important. And of course, this is not what you would call neatly chopped. This is, rough. But the thing with cabbage and things like that is that they do actually cook down. And this is just, good old home cooking. Nothing to do with being a chef. Whoops, I just split a piece up in my hand because it was easier than using a knife. And the last piece, well, there's this little slicey thing here. We'll get rid of that. That's fiddly. These knives are very sharp knives if you have a look. So yes, you have to be very, very careful. And a mesh glove, unfortunately, isn't of real help because it devalues what you can feel. So that, unfortunately, is a sad truth of having a visual impairment. I'll put the rest of this into the bowl. And there probably are some bits that are getting scattered on the floor. And well, if that's the case, we just have to, sweep them up afterward, because that's just part of normal cooking anyway. Now, I did myself a favour. Here is a nice big packet of mushrooms. So I'm going to take some of them and they're already sliced. You know, it's so great that sometimes these days the supermarkets do make things easier for people who are working or whatever by slicing these things up, because to be honest, it's very handy for a person who's got no sight either. Well, they're very big slices, but so I might break them up in my hands as I go. Just, they don't have to be so, you know, specific, but just where they're really huge. You don't want big pieces in there. They will actually cook down anyway. So this is just, you know, how I do my cooking anyway. And this is just to show that a person who is visually impaired can live on their own and can do their own cooking. Now, I have a great problem at the moment. Our gas stove is not working. So I'm having to actually cook with a microwave, and luckily my microwave does do convection oven. So I'll be using that for the oven bit of the frittata. But so I'm going to have to cook those veggies in the microwave. It's just a sadness, but it's reality. And the convection, I've got an air fryer over there, and I will use that for the steak and the bacon to fry that up. Now, so I can now wash that knife and put that one aside for the moment. A few little bits I found of veggies, so I'll just throw them in that bowl. Alright, now cream. Frittatas always have cream or butter, so I'm just going to, because there's actually going to be quite a fair bit of juice that comes out of those veggies, so I'm just going to actually use this spoon here and get a little bit of that cream for the moment. And that's probably, now I'm shaking it on the side obviously so that it comes off. You can actually hear the difference in the texture if you listen carefully. You can hear as it falls off.
Cut.
Okay, so I've got all of that, and of course it's all gone through the bowl. So I'm just going to try as much as I can, considering how difficult it is to move raw cabbage and raw mushroom. I'm just going to try and sort of stir it through together. Right, now that's of course going to be very yes, I'm going to have to get my fingers dirty. No, that's part of it. So I'll take that straight over to the sink and give that a rinse. I will now take this bowl over to the microwave. I think because it's got cream in it, cream can spatter. This is a little microwave plastic lid. I'm going to put that over that bowl. That will actually stop it from spattering through my microwave. There's nothing worse than having to clean out a microwave. Now,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes.
so in 5 minutes I will stir that.
Start.
One, the cream will have melted, and partly that will have gone down a bit. While that's happening, I will go for the meat. Right, now, a piece of raw mushroom. Do you know what raw mushrooms are good for you? So, rather than waste it, I've just eaten it. Air fryer. This is my air fryer. Nice and clean. They should be washed as often as possible. Just to let you know, when you're cleaning them, you can pull this apart. Underneath there is where the fat is, or drips, and then this is like a tray, another tray on the top. Now, it has been used once. The thing is, as a person who's totally blind, you will always feel that fat, even when it is at its cleanest. You will always feel it. Now, I need to open these. So, now it's been tucked in the bag. I won't put it back on the rack. Right. This is yummy maple bacon. I'll put in this small little spot that I've got here, this little posse. I will just chop that bacon up into strips. Really easy. Bacon is so easy. Okay. Maple bacon doesn't crisp up the same way as normal bacon. It's the process that they use. I actually looked up about it online, and there is a bit of the process that stops it from crisping the same way, but you know what, I don't care about that. So this is, again, only fine, not finely chopped or anything, just roughly chopped. There are a few pieces that I might have to split with my hands. Never mind. It's alright, put all of that into the air fryer. And then that will cook up nicely. Usually I would time things with a phone. Or with the microwave if I'm using the air fryer. So I may need to go and get a phone. Okay. So as you can hear, that's Siri talking. So I will open that. First of all, I have to take this over and put it in the hole that it goes into. I use my left hand to steady it because when you push the straw in, it pushes it backward. Because you have to push it fairly hard. Now, I will then get this and I will say, set an alarm for 3 minutes.
3 minutes, starting now.
There you go. And that's a bit rough, but it won't matter. A few seconds, won't hurt. Now I will go here to the microwave.
Communications and social networking folder, 6 apps. Double tap to open.
Now that's hot, so I will use, I'm really not good with oven mitts. I find that what happens is that it actually stops me from feeling what I'm doing. That's just me. So I'm using a towel. Now I'll put this knife over here, so I'm not going to do anything disastrous to my hands. And I'll get that fork and stir this through. Oh, so much easier now. And then you've got to actually just use a fork around the edges, because you can't see it. And you hang your fingers just to push everything down off the sides. Make sure that it's in the bowl. Otherwise things cook unevenly. We'll go for another 5 minutes. I made the mistake of doing it for 10 minutes the other day and found that the whole thing bubbled over. So, with a microwave, you have to be a little bit careful because it's a really big pain to try and clean out your whole microwave, particularly when you've got fat.
Door closed.
Okay, 5 minutes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Start. High power.
Do apologise if I don't look at the camera. It's just part of not realising where it is to make eye contact. Okay, I'm now that I've got a little bit of room, going to find in here. Oh, there's my timer, so one more thing.
Media folder, 1 app. Double tap to open.
Stop my alarm.
I've turned off your alarms.
Let's have a look at how this is. With our bacon.
Communications and social networking.
I will have to feel it.
6 apps. Double tap to open.
Could do it a bit longer. Okay. So, again, I have to feel with my hand. I've got my hand like that because I've got grease on my fingers. I reckon I'll
Edit
set
mode. Activate. Default.
an alarm for 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Starting now.
Helps if you turn it on. Alright, I'll just wash my hands because I've got fat on my hands.
Social networking folder. 6
Always
apps.
important
Double tap to open.
for anybody, but more particularly when you've got a visual impairment, to keep washing your hands when you get them dirty so you don't put everything everywhere. Alright, now I'm going to get this big glass jug. Because it's got a nice pouring spout if I need it right at the very end. What I'm going to do now is get the eggs. I think I'm going to use 8 eggs. And hopefully that will be enough. I believe it should be. I've got this bowl out. Good question as to where I'm going to put it. Here probably. Just to put the eggshells in.
Edit mode.
Stop my alarm.
Okay, your alarms are off.
Okay. Alright, we'll just leave it there at the moment. We'll do this first, the eggs. Then we'll get back to the other. Okay, so I want 8 eggs. Whoa. That one broke a little bit quicker than I thought. Very thin shell. Now I can then pick them all up. Because I've got them in that bowl, I can happily say I'm not going to put egg all over the floor while I take them over and put them into that bag. Which isn't easy to get into because the sides of the bag want to fold in. Okay, then I can just rinse that and my hands at the same time. Now, fork for this. Whisk it up, see, and because it's so deep, I'm lucky that I know that as I do this, I'm most probably, hopefully, not going to splash egg everywhere because it's nice and deep. And this is the thing, if you can't see where things are going to splash through and whatever else, you have to work with things that maybe are utensils that are a bit bigger than perhaps a sighted person would. It just means you keep your place clean as you possibly can. And that's, you know, that's a hard enough thing as it is. Now, I'll get that cheese I love the fact that as you cook, you get rid of all the things that you don't need anymore. It makes so much more room on the bench. Look, see, look at this. I'll put this over here. Okay, now I've got to find my cups. These are handy cups because they all clip together. It's a wonderful idea. So we want 1 cup. I'm gonna fit this, fit down the back. Oh, that cheese looks like it needs a bit of a slicing. Being careful because you don't want to slice your hands. It does actually have a seal there to seal it back up. So I'm going to hopefully, now that I've pricked it, be able to take this off here in such a way that I'll be able to reseal it. And so that's going to be a nuisance too. So I have to do another little chop halfway through because it won't split. And it's just so important not to get your hands in the way. It's quite difficult. I understand why they seal things as well as they do, but honestly it does make it a bit difficult. And you haven't got the... So I'm just going to, since the bag is fully open, put the cup down into it and drag out what I can first off. Down. I'm going to have to use my hands. It's not easy to pour it all out. I wish it were a little bit less difficult, but that's just the way it is. And we don't need a completely measured full cup. Frittatas are a little bit forgiving in that way. So, I'm going to write with that, and then I've got my jug. Pour that into the jug. Okay. Okay, so this is another thing I can put in the fridge. Yay! Where is that fork? Is that a good stir through? Put all of that cheese through the eggs. Oh, nice. That's lovely. Now, I don't know whether I need to use more cream yet or not, and I won't know until the veggies are actually done. What I will be doing is this gelatin. You might wonder why I've got gelatin out. Being a keto dish, gelatin is very good for you. Yummy piece of truth. That can go in the sink. Gelatin will actually thicken things up. So I'm going to get a teaspoon and use the tip of it to open the thing. And we probably only need like a teaspoon's worth or 2. For 8 eggs, yeah, I'm going to go for 2. Because then it won't matter if there is a bit more cream. Alright? It'll just firm it up. The eggs will do a very good job as it is, but... Alright, now I will again, find that fork and stir that in. So here we have in this jug now, as a recap, 8 eggs, 2 teaspoons of gelatin and a cup of grated cheese. I forgot to say that I deliberately got grated cheese so that I didn't have to worry about slicing it and grating my knuckles, which is always not the thing you want to do. Now I'll get this bowl out of the microwave, grabbing that towel off the cupboard. Ooh, this is smelling nice. That lid doesn't want to come off with me, so I'll put that up the top for now. And I will then grab this. This is getting very hot now. Here, and I'll spoon this up. And I wonder how well cooked this is. I will have to feel. Taste test. That cabbage is just slightly crunchy, but I think by the time you put it in frittata and it cooks, that is going to be pretty much ready. So I will leave that to cool also. I'll grab that bowl. I'm going to actually shift this bowl back off the chopping board. I'm also going to, if I've got room, take this and put it here beside that bowl off the chopping board. And that way they're out of the way and they're not going to get knocked. Okay. Alright, here we go, our bacon. I reckon that's going to be, oh, look at that. And there is a kind of, you can feel kind of crispness to it. And people might be thinking, gee, why is she using so many bowls and things? But it's easier to mix the meats and things separate. Wash my hands. Alright, now we're up to, again, that little knife of mine. And I'll slice down there, and then we'll also slice the other side because it doesn't want to open. And I have two beautiful plump, look at that, Scotch fillets. So usually I would give it 10 minutes for Scotch fillets. I'm only going to give it 8 because when you make a frittata, of course you put it in at the end and you cook it so that the eggs have time to cook. Yeah, but that means also that the meat will then cook again for longer. So now, because of the fact that I don't have the microwave on, this is a timer.
1, 2, 3, 4 minutes.
Now I'm going to do this, turn this on.
Start. Timer over.
And then after 4 minutes, I will turn around and turn it over. Okay, so now I've got to turn it over. Now what I've done is I waited for that 4 minutes to end. I've let it settle down a bit. The reason is because it's so extremely hot, and I find I can't use tongs. I can never guide them because I can't see where I'm guiding them. So I like to turn things over with my fingers, even though it's a little bit dangerous. So I just wait for them to, you know, cool down, and then I can. All right, and then I'll do the same with the other.
1, 2, 3, 4 minutes.
Just as I did with the other.
Start. Timer
Okay.
over. 4 minutes.
So now this is cooked. Look at the colour of that. Okay. Ooh, and you can hear the fat now sizzling. So I've had that on for a little bit of a while too, just so that I can get to it without burning myself. One. That chopping board will have to be right. that will also need to be washed, so I'm just going to put that on the sink. That's my mug that I had some water in. That's the packet that needs to go in the bin. Right, now we have room on the chopping board. And I will chop this steak. It is warm. Okay, and you can see it's a bit pink still through it. I can feel it. This is my meat. Here's my meat. Got to remember when which bowl I'm dealing with. You can actually feel the difference in the texture between that, which is a little bit more cooked, and that which isn't. And then, once I've done this, I will actually put them together, and then I'll work out what casserole dishes we need. This is cool. Now I've got one more to do. So we have the three things here. Where's that cream? Here we go. I'm only going to probably use maybe a little bit more of that once I look at what I've got in the way of juices. Now, so I've got the meat, the vegetables, and the eggs. Alright, so we'll take this one, the egg one, and I think into that, well, that should was the egg, so I will put this one off to the side. In that, I now have to put a little bit of onion powder, a little bit of garlic powder, some pepper and some salt. Now I do pinches, so I'm just going to do a couple of pinches of each of the onion and garlic powder. So that's the first one. This is the second. And that's how I find out what it is. So that's the garlic. I might put a little bit more in garlic. I like it garlicky. That's my preference. I do my things to taste. That's my choice. Right, now mixed herbs. I usually put a really good, that's actually more like 2 pinches or 3 pinches worth in there. Let's tell you mixed herbs. Alright, I believe it's somewhere down here. Yep, here we go. Now this is actually an interesting spoon because it's got little serrated edges. Sometimes it's really easy for cutting things that you need a little tiny spoon to get into too. Now, this chicken stock is fairly strong. I'm just going to use 1 teaspoon's worth. I'll put that into the sink so that's out of the way and it's not going to be creating a mess. That's that lid on firmly. Pepper and salt. Now, I can tell the difference between the pepper and the salt because the pepper's got the flat lid. It's a lovely grinder. Again, I just go to feel or to taste. I like my pepper, so I'm going to go for about 6. Maybe a couple more. Give it a shake. Okay. And that happened because I'm too short. It's too tall. Okay, salt, and you can see that that's got a bit of a rounded lid. These, I find these grinders, they don't like to grind too well. That'll do in the way of salt, because there's salt in the cheese and there's also salt in the chicken stock. So you don't want to go overboard with salt. I will stir all of that in. And you know what? It's actually feeling a bit thicker now because the gelatin's sapped in the egg. That should be mixed fairly well. Okay. I'm just wondering which is going to be easier. I think I might pour the egg mixture in here rather than the other way around, because it's the pouring jug, and that's why I chose that. I had no idea how much in the way of filling I was going to have, and that is why I chose so many bowls. It was better than not having enough. Now I've probably scraped that down. It's really difficult to know when you can't actually, you know, judge with your eyes. But I believe I've got most of that out, as you can see. And then I will automatically put some water into it. So that can be soaking now. Stir that in together. Oh, nice. Nice, 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 nice. Now, then, I will get this bowl, which is the steak. And I'm just going to use my hands to get it out. But it is a fairly decent amount of meat, if you have a look. And I also need to maybe soak that. Oh, let's stir all this through. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's nice. Okay. This to stir it with, it's just a bit bigger. You'll be able to flip it over better. Because now that there's so much of it in here, just to make sure it's all stirred through properly. Because now what I'm trying to do is get all those flavours through the meat, the veggies, the eggs, the cheese. So to recap, we have, and I will put a little bit more cream in. Okay, I've got this spoon from the dish rack. I'm just giving it a wipe because it's wet. And where's that cream? There you go, I found it. Here we go. And that's the thing, I knocked it over on its side. Well, that can happen. And I'm just going to, basically, there's so little in the container. I'm going to stir that with your spoon out when I can. People might be wondering why I'm actually wearing a tiara today. This is part of my self-empowerment. You know, it's a bit of a feeling of how I have become whole in my own right. I'm honouring both my masculinity and my femininity and my sovereign state now. So that's just a personal thing that I'm doing. And that's okay. Now there's actually cream on there, so I'm going to put both in there. Stir. There we go. Alright, now I've got to get some dishes to put it into. So we're now going to actually put this aside because I need to get to these. So the bin actually is across that way. I'm just going to put it in there for now, and then I know that it will go in the bin. It feels like I've got a little bit of egg on my top, so that'll be going in the wash afterward. Now, and then I'll start with these 3, and we'll see how we go. These are great Pyrex dishes because, as you can see, you've got these plastic lids. Now, obviously, I'm not going to put it into the oven like that, or they will melt. But they're lovely for putting your quiches into and things like that. Now, because I've got as much cream as I have and fats from the thing, I better still use a bit of butter, I think. I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way, the way Mama's bakers used to do it. Okay, so I'm just going to get a little corner with my fingers, and I'm going to use it to rub, melt it with your hands basically, rub all over it. I may need a bit more, but see, the handy thing about using your fingers is you don't get too much. And this will stop it from sticking. Okay, that's all melted. Now, I'm going to use a soup ladle because it's so runny, as you can tell. It's the easiest way to get it up. Now I reckon that's around about right. Just smooth it off. Well, maybe I could put a little bit more in there. And you've got to imagine what it is to do it by feel when you... I will now get some more cheese. And what I'm going to do with this cheese is I'm going to cover this before it goes into the convection part of the microwave. I'm going to be using it as an oven. Right, it's a little bit dropped on the ground there. A little bit more where I felt that there was maybe not enough. Just gotta feel very carefully with my hands, so I don't stick my hands in the filling. But I reckon that's pretty well covered. Couldn't do much better than that without a good pair of eyes, I don't reckon. So I'll put that in there. So that's one done. I'll pick it up and you can have a good look at it. Okay. Now, I will then take that over to put into the convection microwave. I think I can get 2 of them in there, and then I can put it on oven setting.
Door open.
Okay. Right. So, we've got the 3 of them in there, and I'm just over here cleaning up the butter and the cheese and things like that, because of course we want to make sure that everything's really nice. And that little bite-sized one will do me beautifully for dinner because I've already had something to eat today. So that'll be great. Okay. And I'll come over and I'll start the microwave off. Now, so what we have here
Door closed.
is oven settings. So we want, I reckon, at least 20 minutes, maybe 25. Okay, so yeah, you've got to feel down to your...
Auto defrost.
Now that's auto
0.1
defrost.
kilos.
I'm just going to go through these for you so you know what we've got.
Auto cooked jacket potato, 0.1 kilos. Auto roast beef, 0.5 kilos.
Alright. We've got
High power microwave. Grill. Combination medium low power microwave and grill. 180 degrees C.
and that's the one we want, all right? We want that oven. Now, so I'm going to cancel that so we haven't got a muck up. And I'm going to, this convection microwave I've discovered always seems to cook about 20 to 30 degrees lower than it actually says. So I'm going to pump this up.
180 degrees, 190, 200 degrees C, 210 degrees C convection.
Right? And then we come down and here we've got our minutes.
10 minutes, 20 minutes, 22 minutes, 23 minutes, 24 minutes, 25 minutes. Start. 210 degrees C convection, 25 minutes.
Right? And then that should be pretty much done. And if it's not, I can just give it longer. Okay. So, what we need to do now is, and this is always the trick, because other people have been here, finding things like the soap and all of that kind of stuff is always a nightmare for me. Because this is not my own, you know, just my own place. I'm sharing. So, I'm just putting everything up together at the moment so I can wash them. Okay. Where is our, that's our sponge that fell out. Detergent, and where's the plug? Oh, thank you. A little bit on my hand, and I can swirl that around, and then I don't end up with too much. Okay, because that's always a danger. These things are going to be fairly easy to wash. I'll go with those ones first. And of course I've done the knives already, and I've actually packed my knives up. I had only hot water on. I'm just letting you know that you must not burn yourself. So that's nice. I'm just going to rinse that off. It's a bit too... Alright, there should be enough water actually. I wrap my knives up because they're so sharp in in some material, and I keep them in the cupboard like that. That way, they don't end up being somewhere where I'm going to just stick my hand in the cupboard and cut myself. I'm just trying to rinse these off as I go a little. Lovely glass jug. You know, this is a 2 litre, it's Pyrex. And if you're ever desperate, you can actually microwave with this. So if you've got lots of liquid that you want to microwave, it's really cool. Now I'll have to use some other water to rinse that. I'll pull that out, and I use this water as it's going down just to clean around the sink. So it's all nice and clean. Okay, there's nothing obstructing the, which there wasn't really, just a little bit of veggie. Let's try and conserve on a bit of water for rinsing these days. We've got to be so careful with the environment, as we all know. I'll put that up there. And these things are so big. Now I've just discovered, around the sides, feels like there's still some stuff there. And because I stick my bowls inside each other, I'm being a bit pedantic now. I'm just making sure that there's nothing on the sides. Okay, I've hopefully done a fairly good job, and then they can drip dry. Alright, so I've just taken a fork and here that was cleaned, and I've wiped it off. Now, because this is a convection microwave, even though it stopped its timing, it still has its fan that goes. Now these are bubbling, absolutely bubbling. Let's try and see if it is ready. Yeah, that feels like it's possibly quite needing a bit more time, I think. And that's not very, doesn't feel brown on the top. I think I might put that in for another 10 minutes.
Door closed.
That doesn't feel to me like it's done. Alright, so found after that extra 10 minutes that the little one had cooked, so I've actually eaten that. And then I had to put it on for a bit longer. For these two, they are bubbling. And I reckon that they're going to be cooked. I feel the top of that, I reckon that's good. Right. So then we've got this one, and I have to feel where the chopping board is. Put it down, and then I'll get the other one. I'm sure it should be pretty much done too. I tell you what, this microwave is very hot.
Door closed. Pause.
Yeah, I put it at slightly ahead of time, so it's like saying pause. And then I'm going to have to leave those two now just to cool down for a while, and then straight into either the fridge or the freezer. The other one was beautiful, and the pork along with the maple bacon, cabbage and the mushrooms gives it a beautiful flavour. And the beauty of a frittata is if you wanted to make it all vegetables, you could do that. And if you wanted to make it all meat, you could do that too. So there you go. And that's how a person who is visually impaired, well, in my case, totally blind, looks in the kitchen.